And opinions expressed on this program do not reflect the company, owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
It's Thursday, the 8th day of April, 2021. Welcome to the Daily Hour, brought to you by Medical House One Communications and Lindos. I'm Jamal Hartman, along with Carla Zool. Thanks for making us part of your daily routine. If you're watching online, share the link. If you're on Facebook, start a watch party. If you're on Twitter, retweet it. If you're watching on Channel 82 or listening on the Full 100 radio station, call someone up. Let them know what on. Just get the conversation out there to your network. And don't forget to like and engage with us. Another good one today as the mayor of St. George's, Bermuda's first capital, Mayor George Dowling, and Candy Foggo are stopping by. The Daily Play is a Name That Place. So Carla is guessing a geography question. I think I might have tricked her up today because I had an idea. Said, you know what? We have the mayor of St. George's, St. Joe crew. We should do something there. I said, no, too obvious. I've been giving us too many easy ones as of late. So kind of gave her a hint that the answer does have nothing to do with St. George's, Carl. How's that?
So that means it's probably in St. David's, knowing you. I know St. David's isn't a parish, but you're tricky, but it's all right. The audience has my back, right? Right, guys? You have my back.
Some people in St. David's might tell you they are a parish. Let's not go there. Let's not go there. Look, a lot to discuss, but I know I saw some people are pretty upset yesterday about learning at home. That's what it's called, or remote learning, stay at home learning.
It's called torture.
Oh, torture.
It's called torture.
I gather you're not a fan of it?
Not at all. No.
Well. Let me just because I'd like to know why you find it torturous. But the Minister of Education, Diallo Rabin, said the closing of public and private schools, according to the Royal Gazette, this is to in-house learning from Monday was done on the advice of the Education Emergency Measures Committee. So basically, he said the end date would be reviewed when the committee convened next week of April 19th. However, it could last until May 7th. And again, this is according to what I'm reading from the Royal Gazette. And I saw people just saying it's this distance learning is not easy.
It sucks.
What's the most challenging part about it for you?
For me, it's, well, as you know, I have 3 school age. Well, Sakila is 20. She's in college. But with the younger boys, lessons at the same time, one computer, Wi-Fi. It's just the focus. It's very difficult. I have very social children. So my children like being around their friends. So like with my oldest son, who's 15, it was just a constant battle. He would do it on his phone, right? And he would be laying under the covers. I'm like, you cannot do science laying under the covers. It's like, yeah, I can, and I will. And so it was causing tension between us. With Naeem, the youngest, he just doesn't like school. He loves to go to school. He doesn't like school. So imagine adding not liking school with the component of doing it from home. So I really had to be hands-on, but I was clear. For example, it's noon here in the UK. So I'm like, listen, any classes from 10:30 to 1, they will not, Naeem will not be participating in because he also is dyslexic. So I had to be there. I'm so glad they're back at school. They went back March 8th and thank you, Jesus.
Yeah. No, I've seen so many concerns, and I know I've seen some feedback from teachers as well, and they, some jokes saying that now the parents know what we have to go through, and obviously there's different challenges for parenting versus teaching. Certainly, I mean, I've never been either, but as a coach, football coach, I can tell you it's a big difference between the coach and the parent. And so I don't expect the parent to necessarily know how to teach a child things that I'm there to teach them on the football field. Now, I some people were saying, well, if you're going to extend it to May, just have the rest of the school year. And you're not a fan of that?
No, you know why? I really feel sorry. Like last year, people who had like young people who had proms and graduations and they missed out because of COVID. Myself, I haven't had my graduation yet and probably won't have it till 2023, 2022. There is a social aspect that the young people miss. But again, and I'm going to go here, the responsibility comes in everyone's actions. So for those who don't care and disregard others, this is what you get. This is what you get. It's for the kids' best interest of their health, but it's inconveniencing families and etc. But you wanted to be at the bars, you wanted to party, you didn't want to do what was supposed to be done. This is what you get.
Nicole Walker, Carla.
There are some parents who are unable to work from home but are still required to work. With limited childcare available, it's difficult, especially in one-income homes.
And and she makes a great point. Robert Durham says it's difficult, I'm sure, but it's to keep our children safe. This is thanks to all those who have been around the island in large groups spreading COVID. And Tara Simmons says, I want to go back to the classroom. I'm going to guess she's a teacher, not a student, right? All right. I want to go back to Nicole Walker first, her comment. And there was also, especially at the beginning of the pandemic, people were discussing how school was actually a safe space for a lot of children as well, right? Now, I was having thoughts about it the other day. Like, will there be assessments over the next couple of years to see if children have fallen further behind, due to not being in a traditional setting? I do worry about that. Like, are they going to be able to, like, what's the infrastructure look like if students have to be held back and so on, just so that they can stay on course? Because when you take a child out of, a learning environment and you put them in a different one, they have to adapt to that, right? And they're probably not going to learn the same at the same pace. And what about students that were already struggling, right?
Yeah, and here in the UK, they were talking about retaining. So, for example, Johnny's in year 10, high school goes up to year 11. They've canceled. Pardon? Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. They've canceled GCSEs. So the students that, like, we took I don't know, did you do GCEs when you were younger?
I didn't.
I forgot. You're a rebel. But I did GCs. So it's these exams, right? And so they're not doing them this year. For some, they have predicted grades. Now, you, Jamal, you talked about your school tenureship and how you didn't do the greatest, but you then caught up, right? So think about the kid who, and there are some out there who slack off in the beginning. And then now they're being placed based on something they did months ago because they may have picked up in the last quarter. It's so many inequities and uncertainties. They said they were going to retain, and I was all for it. I don't mind both of my boys retaining, but I don't think they're going to do it. So like you said, it's going to be interesting in a few years to see if these gaps really make.
But and it's interesting you say that you don't think they're going to do it, because I think that's a question. That's a legit question that I think the community should be asking, because it goes back to social promotion almost, right? I think we spoke about that with the Minister of Education last month about social promotion. And, is it in any country or jurisdiction's best interest, knowing that some students have lost a year of learning, not due to them, anything they've necessarily done wrong or the educators, but it's just a situation that no one called. I mean, it's I don't know, the reaction to it. I just hope that there's a plan. One of the things that seems obvious to me with governments, it seems like so many are focused on doing what's here today instead of preparing for what's needed tomorrow. And I hope they have an eye on that, especially those within education. Want to change gears real quickly. Have to address this before we go any further. we, I mean, I know you and I, Carla, have been speaking about this for years and years and years. We had another murder on, this is Thursday, so on Tuesday
On
night we had
Tuesday.
another murder, right? And I just remember over the years, people after a murder, they would go on social media and enough is enough, and just vent, right? Vent per se. And I have no problem with venting, but what I find interesting is that it's a cycle, and almost like we vent and then things just go back to normal. I mentioned the police yesterday, and the truth of the matter is, it's a community effort because police officers have been saying for years, the community has been saying for years, someone always knows who has done what. Someone
Mhm.
always knows. Nobody who has committed a murder is the only person that knows that they did it. So it's really a challenge to the conscious and unconscious people in the community to really do the right thing at this point. It should have been done, but
And
something
it's
has to change. Go ahead, Carl.
the unfortunate thing is that this generation is all about I'm not gonna be a prick. I mean, that's been prevailing from when we were young, but it seems more than ever that for the most part, it seems like nobody's willing to do the right thing. And I don't understand even how people can be in someone's proximity and know what happened to their loved one and say nothing. Like you really have to be a special kind of dead and soul to
Mm,
know that, especially, sometimes it's a mistake or whatever. I,
mm.
I actually shed tears. I don't even know the departed, but I shed tears for him this morning because I'm just like, why? Why does this have to happen? Where do people get joy out of killing others like this? It really bothers me.
Yeah, I remember being asked many years ago, how do you stop things like this? And it really, I don't think anybody believes that they'll get caught, right? And they'll have to suffer the consequences. One of the things to stop it is if for every murder, if someone was taken, convicted, rightfully convicted, not wrongfully
Mhm.
convicted, and people started to see consequences, you would think that that would deter people and getting a better understanding of, you don't have the ability to wake up and run around and do as you please once you don't have that freedom um, to do so. I'm not quite sure, but what I do know is, as I stated, someone always knows, and the onus is on those who know. You talk about snitching and pricking. I think it was you, Carla, saying, this person could be that cold to do this to others. What makes you think they can't do it to you?
Hello.
I mean, it's that simple. Look, what are your thoughts? Real quickly, ask the audience before we get ready for the news break. What are your thoughts? One on remote learning. What are your thoughts on remote learning? Do you think children have lost a year? Do you think we should be looking at an infrastructure to retain students so that they can ensure that they're getting the proper formal education? And then a second question to you all. The second question is, what do you believe are solutions to the gun violence in Bermuda? We're still having this conversation. I believe it's 12 years next month after Can One Day Robinson was murdered, and I think it was 2003, over 18 years since Shunday Jones was murdered. But we're having these conversations. What do you all think are solutions to the shooting? I mean, let's get some ideas. Mark Arthur C. Phillips, Carla.
The sad thing about this murder is that his child will grow up without a father. No child should have to deal with this kind of trauma.
Indeed, I agree. Dr. Seaman says parents are not teachers. There has been loss. So I think that's in reference to the person.
Amen.
And that's real. Parents are not teachers, teachers are not parents. I think it's time to respect the different roles, and I think the pandemic has given us a better understanding that these roles are not one in the same. So I definitely something tells me that Dr. Seaman was both a teacher and a parent, but she may have a experience on both ends, right? But as we talk about the gun violence in Bermuda, let's not forget we do have the mayor of St. George's on today, and I know they had an incident recently as well. Something that you definitely don't want to see as you're building back up the old town, right? Shikarena, Carla.
Some students have excelled learning from home. They like managing their own time, no bullying to deal with, and in the US, no school shootings to fear.
You know what? I hadn't even, especially the latter part of that, I had not even thought about that. I mean, as much as we say that school may have been a safe place for some people to be out of maybe an abusive home, being home and being able to learn could be a safe space as well. When you look at what's happened in schools in the United States, right? Sean Smith says that's a difficult question to answer. Some believe jobs are the answer to the gun violence. Well, I don't think. I mean, it's not a one answer fixes the entire problem, Sean. I don't disagree with you. I think the solutions are really deep rooted. It's so deep that it's beyond what we can probably say. Oh yeah, they just need jobs or they just need education. This is deep rooted. There are people that say, well, it's black on black crime and so on, but the racism that leads to this is so deep rooted, right? That we have to go beyond the surface and truly have a conversation of what's led to where we are, where it has become okay. I think Rashida Godwin, when she was first on talking about Titan Express and what they do to tours, and she said that when she takes young people and they find out certain things and they have a better understanding of why things are what they are, it kind of inspires them to, no, this is not the role I want to play. I need to take this and do this for my community and for my brothers and my sisters. So Dr. Seaman says family structure is overall very bad. Robert Durham says, I've always wondered if all parents are making sure their children are equipped and are doing what is necessary for them to succeed while learning is taking place. Well, Robert, not all parents might not have the know-how, the expertise, or the time. They may have to work.
And that's, I think, a point that some people are missing. What if that parent is barely literate themselves? Or what if that parent is not, tax savvy? So that's a whole pile of frustration on top of frustration. It's not as simple as it may seem, because even math, if you all look at some math these days, I don't know what the heck that is. And I think I'm pretty intelligent. So it's so complex.
No, I agree with you, Carl. I mean, look, if we had trouble with it when we were young, don't think just because we're older and you have offspring that all of a sudden you're going to know this stuff. I mean, she mentioned math. Boy, we'll talk more about that statistics I had. Boy, I'm still calculus, all that. Oh, don't give me something to read or something. Robert Jones says, agreed, Carla. Kamiko Scotland says, not all parents have the tools. Indeed. There's definitely more to it than parents just taking on the role of teacher. All right, so we're gonna take a news break. Carla's gonna give us a little update of what's going on around Bermuda, and then the normal process, commercial break, and we'll bring the mayor of St. George's on. Now look, Carla, I'm not gonna tell him that you're a Somerset fan if you don't. I'm not gonna tell him.
Don't say a word.
I'm gonna tell him, but I will say this. St. George's is one of my favorite places to visit on the island. That was one of the, I guess, the things I cherished about working in tourism the most, taking people to St. George's. One Sunday, I remember we had a codfish breakfast with about 17 people I had brought down in the middle of the square. I just think it's one of the best places. And I'm not just saying in Bermuda, but that I find to relax. I mean, my wife, we got our engagement pictures all around St. George's. So it's one of my favorite places. So I don't say that lightly, because
I actually looked at it as a getaway spot. If I wanted to get away in Bermuda, I would go to St. George's. So I like it too. I'm just for Somerset, but I do appreciate St. George's.
I mean, yeah, okay. We allow haters in the conversations too. All right. All right, Somerset Girl, give us the news break and we'll get over to the conversation today.
Police have identified the victim of Tuesday's shooting murder as 37-year-old Jordan Outerbridge. According to police, Mr. Outerbridge was leaving a card game at a Paget residence when he was shot several times by a gunman who then jumped on the back of an awaiting motorcycle. The gunman wore a blue-colored jacket with a hood. His accomplice wore black clothing, and both were on a dark-colored Click motorcycle. Shortly after this incident being reported to police, 911 received calls about a serious motorcycle collision on Middle Road, Warwick, near the entrance to Belmont. Two motorcycles had collided head-on while both riders having sustained serious injuries. On arrival at the hospital, one of the riders, a 44-year-old man, was found to have suffered gunshot wounds to his torso. Detectives are examining the possibility that the two matters are linked, given the proximity, timing, and circumstances of both. The Bermuda Police Service is asking anyone who may have information to contact Detective Sergeant Jason Smith on 247-0864 or the main police number 295-0011. Again, we at the Daily Hour extend our deepest condolences to the family and loved ones of Mr. Outerbridge. Did you know that April is Couple Appreciation Month? If you're single, sugary couples cooing at each other for hours on end can make you feel just a little bit ill. But on the other hand, if you're in a relationship, especially a long-term one, you may sometimes find yourself wondering where all the romance went and why don't you seem to be enjoying each other's company nearly as much as you used to? Whatever side of this you're on, Couple Appreciation Month can help you to make some changes for the better. Celebrate this month by remembering that sorry, I'm just giggling at love. Celebrating this month by remembering what it was that made you fall in love with your significant other in the first place and doing the things you've always loved to do together. Turning to weather, the temperature in Bermuda is expected to reach a high of 69. Las Vegas, Nevada will see a high of 87, and Bristol, UK, a high of 51. Don't forget, Jamal is being held hostage, but only for 2 more days. Shall we save him, or shall we stick with the majority and sink him? You decide, but either way, let's contribute to a good cause and participate in the annual Bermuda Sloop Foundation's fundraising event, Pirates of Bermuda. Visit www.bermudasloop.org for further details. That's your Daily Hour news break.
Yeah, I wonder if I tell people I can't swim, if they'll, have some sympathy, because they don't want to be an accessory to something bad, do they? And Carla, what's this love day you're talking about? Isn't there already like Valentine's Day or something like that? What's all this stuff?
It's Love Appreciation Month. So for all you married couples out there, go on a nice little date just in your backyard or your front yard, in your bathtub, somewhere. Just go on a date.
Always an opportunity to spend money, I tell you. Real quickly.
Listen to Full 100 tonight.
She does nasty. Before we go to break, real quickly, this was sent to me during the news break. Jamaica Observer quotes, police have launched an investigation into the murder of a 37-year-old man who was shot after he left a card game in Paget Parish on Tuesday night. That's not the part I'm talking to you about. Carl already told you. Here are the comments, and this is perspective, folks. Listen to this. This is what Jamaicans are saying. Quote, wish Jamaica was like this, but no, every day somebody get murdered. Of course, a Bermudian had to check that. Our murder numbers are still ridiculously high. Murder per capita, whatnot. Another one says Jamaica needs to take a page out of their book. Bermuda, right? Another person says, I'm packing right now. Another person says, we have 375 murders and counting. Sad state. And this comment right here. Wow, I had to read it twice because I didn't believe I saw it first. I read this to you for one reason. Perspective. It's so important, perspective. Because while we're concerned, rightfully so, people in other places think this is a great thing. But once they get more information about the size of the country and the population, I think they'll have a better understanding that the situation is not roses. But I just thought I'd share that. Let's take a quick commercial break. We'll be back right after, well, Medical House and Linda's give you a bit of words.
Hi, I'm Karen, a nurse at the old folks home. These long hours used to kill my feet until my hairdresser told me about a great place to buy a pair of clogs. Medical House. Finally, relief. They also carry uniforms in bright, bold colors, and not to mention the support stockings.
Karen, Miss Salter's at her again.
Oh gosh, these days I need all the support I can get.
Medical House has relocated next to the Dendy Town Field, number 6 Bakery Lane, Pembroke.
Nature's Path Organic are a family business, major proponents of the organic method of food production with decades of experience in the field, and have diversified their interests focusing on animal welfare and children's education in that realm. Hence the introduction of Enviro Kids cereal made to the exacting standards we expect and benefiting their cause. Saving animals one breakfast at a time. 1% of sales goes towards protection of animals and their habitats. We're featuring Enviro Kids organic, gluten-free Gorilla Munch cereal. Lindo's, why go anyplace else?
All right, welcome back to the big show. She's Carla Zul. I'm Jamal Hartman. It's the Daily Hour, brought to you by Medical House, One Communications, Lindo's, and our friends over at Channel 82, where you can also watch this and many other locally produced shows if you have One Communications cable. Just reading more of these comments, it looks like, well, look, isn't Bermuda looking to get more butters in Bermuda? Because these folks, they're talking about how much and when can I get there? And, does Bermuda have space for me? I mean, look, there's people. There are people that want to come to Bermuda, government, if you want to extend that offer.
But here's the cute, quick irony. I read an article this morning that the CDC is saying don't go to Bermuda or Jamaica. So look at the irony in that.
Hey, look, there's more places to go. You do some island collaboration. So, look, without further ado, let's bring in our guests for the day, Mayor of St. George's, George Dowling, and Candy Foggo. Welcome to the show.
Good day, good morning, good afternoon, and good morning again to all your viewers.
Thank you. I'm glad you addressed the afternoon people, because there are people, somebody smiling there that's on the other side of the world. But thank you for taking the time. Thank you both for coming. You didn't hear anyone on this show claim that they were for Somerset, did you?
I can neither confirm or deny that I heard anyone, but okay. I am offering St. George's Cup match outreach to your viewing audience today.
I mean, we appreciate it. I just try to make sure, the conversation gets off to a, nice start, because, there's Somerset people. I don't know, man. I mean, they're a tough bunch, but you're in good hands today. Most of our audience, they're right-thinking people, so they're not going to rough you up. Let's get to the conversation, though. St. George's, for some reason, has been looked at as this dead old town, right? I remember, again, when I was in tourism, as I said earlier, trying to always make sure that we spent a lot of time there, making sure that people understood the history and what the old town had to offer. There's actually a lot to do in St. George's, and a lot of people don't know that. And it took me working in tourism to realize how many things you can do. And I'm talking about just going to the forts. If you're just looking to go around and enjoy it, it reminds me of one of my favorite towns, Newport, Rhode Island. That's one of my favorite places in the United States. But speak to us a bit about what you and your team are doing to make St. George's a more attractive destination, not just for visitors, but for locals as well.
Okay. Before we really get into the meat, I just want to send a little shout out to the workers and staff of the Corporation of St. George that do an amazing job. They deliver miracles 10 times out of 10. So thank them. I want to thank them for that. As far as myself and my team, what we're trying to do right now is we are trying to improve the overall aesthetic of the town. Right now, we have quite a few building projects going on the square. We're putting up, we're reslating a roof on the Market Wharf building. We are also developing, we had a road that fell into disrepair. We're currently turning that into a park. We're also building back a building that we had to demolish last year. We're trying to improve the aesthetic of the town to make it more welcoming to visitors and tourists, well, to visitors and locals alike. And in that regard. Also, we're trying to support the various businesses that wish to start new initiatives. Whitehorse is new and it's booming. Unfortunately, COVID is putting a little damper on that, but we try to support them in their endeavors and activities, as well as the other businesses that are coming online. Mr. Thomas has put in proposals to develop the pub on the square. We're also supporting Wahoo's with alfresco dining on Water Street. So it's a lot of different things that we're trying to do to just create a vibrancy in the town.
And let me ask you, you got all this stuff coming, and that's a good lineup. I forgot about Mr. Thomas also coming down there, but you have the St. Regis Hotel opening up soon. And I mean, during my tenure in tourism, everybody would ask all the time, anything in St. George's, anything in St. George's, anything in St. George's. And there's been hope, and then we haven't seen anything go through. I think it was the Hyatt previously that was supposed to go there. What are some of the what kind of impact do you think that the St. Regis could have for St. George's as a destination?
I think that it's going to have a significant impact. The St. Regis itself is a marquee brand, and to have that in our town is an added value for us. But in addition to that, just in terms of just having people, I mean, the hotel is going to require workers, and these workers are also going to require housing. They're going to require entertainment themselves on their days off, as well as being able to entertain the guests of the St. Regis. So I think it's a great value add, and St. George's is lucky to have that as a part of the town.
Now, Ms. Dowling, you mentioned Whitehorse, for example, a few moments ago. It's created such a buzz. And I mean, I'm here in the UK, I would say, outside of Bermuda as well. What impact has having the restaurant reopened had on St. George's so far?
It's created a bigger volume of people in the town, so that they're coming down for the Whitehorse experience, but they tend to be staying for the added experiences that they didn't know were in the town. Like after they finish eating or before they engage in a dinner reservation or lunch reservation, they're walking through the town, they're seeing the various shops that are open on the day. They have the ability to take the eco cycle tours, the electric bike tours and stuff like that. So Whitehorse has brought a lot of people into the town that wouldn't ordinarily come into the town. And then there's people organically having the opportunity to experience what St. George's has to offer.
No, as a town and Somerset girl who probably didn't come to St. George's until she was in her 30s, right? Outside going to the airport.
So
what is it's really bad, but I love St. George's. But what are some of the hidden gems? I mean, when we hear about St. George's, of course, I think everyone thinks St. Peter's Church initially, or the graveyard. But what are some of the hidden gems that we just don't know about, or are quiet little secrets that more people need to know about?
Well, there's Lily Bermuda, the perfume factory. You also have Brumet Cafe down on Summers Wharf. You also have the African Heritage Museum, which is at the bottom of Barracks Hill. Not very many people know about that. There are different little art studios. There's one on, I believe it's Featherbed Alley. It's just steeped in a lot of history. Just walking through the buildings that you wouldn't ordinarily have access to are historical buildings. The average building in St. George's is over 100 years old, so it's very steep. But my main ones, obviously, you have your St. Peter's Church, but you have the Confederate Museum, you have Tobacco Bay, you have Town Hall, the Queen's Warehouse, you have again the African Heritage Museum, you have the Globe Hotel. It's just a lot of different buildings, and I can't even name them all.
What is the Queen's Warehouse, out of curiosity?
The Queen's Warehouse is actually one of our buildings. It used to be the home of the World Heritage Center, We're currently doing some upgrade work to that, and then we're gonna repurpose it. But the building itself is actually steeped in a lot of history, and it's actually on the water side next to our Pennis cruise terminal. A very beautiful building.
Now, obviously, the pandemic has impacted and continues to impact so many. What have you and your team done, or what do you have in the works to ensure that St. George's comes out stronger?
Well, we've been basically following the government guidelines. The government's been dictating, and we've been following the guidelines as required. When we came out of the shelter in place last year, we took it upon ourselves to help stimulate the restaurants in the area by enabling al fresco dining, for instance, particularly to Wahoo's. The rest of the ambient restaurants in the area have outside areas already. So we did our best to support that, but we actually allowed sections of Water Street to be closed so that Wahoo could socially distance their tables apart and be able to entertain their guests out on the street.
And real quickly, just want to ask Ms. Foggo, what exactly is your role in the Old Town Manager Secretary?
Yes, I do have a dual role. Good morning to everybody, and I guess afternoon, so I can follow the mayor's footsteps. But my role is basically from the operations side. I have to deliver on. The mayor always tells me I have to do the bad news, and he does the good news. So I'm working on that relationship. But typically, it's basically getting the wishes of the council to and have them delivered. So one of the questions was about when you came out of shelter in place, and we've taken the opportunity for the I guess the kind of downturn in the tourism and less people around to make significant improvements in our infrastructure. So as the mayor had mentioned, making improvements to some of the buildings that are coming to disrepair. So we're doing that. So that's basically my role, and I'm supervising, not directly, but I have a wonderful team from an industrial aspects to actually get the work done, and they're doing a wonderful job. So if you're walking about the town, it's more of like just strolling around and finding hidden gems on your own, rather than following the beaten path. Just wander without a plan, and you'll come into a lot of hidden gems that you would enjoy.
Gotcha. We do have a question, and folks, if you have any questions for the great folks from St. George's, please just send them, and we will do our best to get around to it. I was gonna ask you this earlier. Obviously, there wasn't a peppercorn ceremony last year. Renee Sherilyn Simmons is saying, I assume no peppercorn ceremony this year.
Actually, last year we did have a peppercorn ceremony. It was due to COVID. It was very truncated, and it was actually held at Government House. And it's literally myself, town manager, Ms. Foggo, a couple of members from the Lodge, the governor, and the accountant general. A similar ceremony will actually be held this year as well, and it'll have the same scope. But it will be in St. George's inside of the town hall on April 21st.
Oh, okay. So a different look to it this year.
I'm kind of disappointed about that, because since I've been mayor, one of the marquee events for being a mayor, you get to come in horse and carriage, and this is year 2, and I haven't had it yet. I feel slighted, but it's a necessary evil. We have to do what we have to do.
Indeed. Sean Smith says, when is the marine for the super yacht /yacht going to be built? It has been talked about since the 90s when I lived in St. George.
Thank you very much for that question, Mr. Smith. Believe it or not, the marina, it's not something that actually needs to be built. And I'm happy to report that the marina lease has actually been signed. So the marina is actually, for the most part, right now operating. It's just what's left is for them to install some floating docks. And we also have some remedial work to do on the main platform on Ordnance Island that houses the larger ships. So we're actually sourcing funds right now to build that up, and we should be completing that project within the next 4 to 6 months. But as it is right now, the marina is functioning as a marina, basically.
Okay. We've got Amanda Kelly. Is the docking stool still used or in existence?
The docking stool is in existence, but due to COVID, we haven't been doing the reenactments at all. So it's just on the side, locked away safely.
Okay.
Can I just add to that, if you don't mind? In terms of the, I guess, history with Indyton, that's one of the, you recall, I guess, earlier in the, or toward the end of last year, earlier this year, we are doing a redevelopment of Ordnance Island proper. So we've actually moved the stocks and pillories. The docking stool will be moved as well to Ordnance Island, so that we're creating an exhibit on Ordnance Island that would depict the historical punishment and crime that happened in Bermuda during those times, and then be able to get the interpretive signage to depict what it is, that we're displaying. So as the mayor said, because of COVID, we haven't been doing the docking reenactments, but the history and the use of the docking stool still needs to be interpreted and displayed.
Okay. Good information to have. Nicole Walker actually says the Sunday Shop and Stroll was a great initiative to get people into the stores and get reacquainted with St. George's. On the back of that, I know we've spoken today about like getting people over there to enjoy St. George's. Does St. George's, and this is, we've seen around the world, not Bermuda, but we see a lot of companies go into remote work, right? And so it looks like real estate might be running into some trouble. But does St. George's offer any kind of incentive to get people to come down and start businesses or open businesses in St. George that can help the economy? Or is it something that you think would help or have given thought to?
Okay. At the moment, we do not offer any particular incentives to encourage people to come into the town to set up shop. Maybe that's something we can look forward to exploring going forward. According to my information, the Bermuda Economic Development Corporation, the BEDC, they're in the process of trying to organize and arrange business incubators for the town to encourage businesses to set up in the town. The real estate market in the town is kind of fluid. Buildings don't buy and sell every day, but there have been quite a few acquisitions of various states going on in the town. A few weeks ago, I want to say that a group purchased the Carriage House building and the Vera Picard building and the Earl Trimmingham's building on Summers Wharf. I also know that the Cracker Barrel building was acquired a year ago, and then the Earl Crockles building that was acquired about a year and a half ago, and that has actually been put back on the market. So there's a lot of real estate that's coming and going in St. George's.
This is good news. I mean, when people are purchasing real estate, that's a good sign. Go ahead, Carla.
So, Mr. Dowling, Ms. Foggo, like many in Bermuda, there have been lessons learned through the pandemic. There've been lessons that have come out of it. What has the pandemic, as a management team, what has the pandemic taught you guys? Has it shown anything? Has it revealed anything that you didn't realize was possible before?
Well, I think I know earlier you were talking in the show about remote learning. We had to engage in remote working. So in the first shelter in place, we weren't prepared for it. So it was like a work in progress. I mean, everybody was having challenges with virtual meetings and things of that nature. So we tend to, get a little more savvy with technology, where before, I used to call myself a hybrid. I wasn't totally into technology. I can't say that I am now, but you have to go through that learning curve. And so we, basically with the corporation, it's like over 400 years old. So it's kind of moving an organization that is, on tradition and history and trying to bring it into the 21st century. So that's been a challenge. But at this time, when the government guidelines said, okay, remote working, we were in a lot better position. The other, I guess, good thing from our organization perspective is that we're a very small team. So with our industrial staff, I'm like, oh, you got to socially distance and this and that, and they're like, boss, we only have 10 people. Like we're not even going to be, above the group limit or what have you. And then our office is actually a old historic storekeeper's house. So the building itself it's like a house. So each of our officers have their own bedroom per se, so we're automatically socially distanced, and it's only 4 of us in the office. So we were, quite capable of doing our social distances, and then, moving forward. So, but like I said, because of a small team, and then with the whole COVID and the reduced numbers of persons in the town, we are able to take the opportunity to get a lot more work done. So, and probably the mayor don't want to hear this, but because Peppercorn was kind of revised and scaled on, it gave us the opportunity to do some of the other behind the scenes type of work that kind of gets neglected because we're busy doing a lot of the social activities in terms of getting ready for National Trust Walk and the peppercorn ceremony. We had the Christmas events. All these things were postponed, so it kind of freed up our staff to tackle some of the things that kind of have gotten neglected over the years.
Got a question, Michelle White. Now that St. Regis is scheduled to open soon, are there any plans to add to the beautification of the Coot Pond Road area, and particularly this road heading downhill towards RA Club? I went past after rain and there was a pond at the bottom of the hill. This is something that would prevent hotel guests from venturing towards that direction as the pond extended onto the sidewalk. Maybe in minded of drainage or reconstruction, sorry.
I can just add to that. We've had meetings with the St. Regis Hotel developers as well as the Ministry of Public Works. And ironically, that area was identified in requiring some type of beautification and ease of, for traffic flow. So that's in the works. I think the timing may be a little challenged, but that is definitely something that has been identified and will be rectified in the future.
All right. And one last question before you go. I just this it wouldn't be me if I didn't ask this. The government is still looking to take over the municipalities, right? I just want to get an idea of what's your stance on this? What would change if they were to do that? Would the position of mayor still exist? Like, what do you know? And where is that as far as happening?
The Corporation of St. George doesn't particularly have a position on municipal reform. The government, my understanding, is still trying to make that a reality. That being said, I do believe that the town of St. George requires its own act to help govern its way. The Municipalities Act of 1923, it lumps the Corporation of Hamilton and the Corporation of St. George together, but it's there's 2 different entities and the 2 different sizes and 2 different pools of capital to work from. And I just think that if St. George's had its own act, it would be easier for St. George's to do the things that it needs to do.
And that's a great way to end it. Thank you so much. Honestly, I appreciate you both for making the time. Again, I can only speak for me on this show, not the red and blue person over there. But I am a St. George's lover. Like, I love all things St. George's. It's one place that every time I'm back in Bermuda, I ensure that. I mean, usually it was Wahoo's, but obviously I used to be a big fan of Carriage House, and then things change and Tavern. So I'm a big food fan of St. George's. I've spent a lot of time at the Perfumery. There's a lot to do. You have Kristen White doing tours, and it's encouraging to see not only people like Denny O'Connor and his team, Lee Richardson, and them come to St. George's, but it's not just about coming, but they're bringing people with them. So, wishing you all the best. And if there's anything that we can do on the Daily Hour, please know that even though some people wear red and blue, or that's their preference, I don't know, we're here for you. All right.
Can I just say before we go, right? Miss Zoom at Work Academy, and there's colors were blue and blue as well.
Ooh, yeah. I like that. Yes. Talk to us, Carl.
Mr. Dowling, please don't ruin our budding relationship. Thank you.
Thank you all very much for your time.
Thanks so much.
Have a great day.
Have a great one.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Carla, we're going to do something about you and choosing this team and your colors, lady. All right, we're going to take a quick break. Look, we have a good one coming up for you all. A good one. Again, it's easy, but it's not as easy as you think it's going to be. You all think it's going to be because we had Corporation of St. George's on, but it's a trick. It's a trick in here. All right, Carla, you stretching? You ready?
I'm ready.
Oh no, we'll see.
Tune in to the Full 100 Radio every Tuesday through Sunday at 7 p.m. Bermuda time as we bring you the love, romance, sexiness with nighttime jams. Only on your station for conversations and entertainment. The Full 100 Radio. Download the app, available for Android and Apple devices.
All right. Shout out. Thanks again to the mayor of St. George's, Mr. George Dowling, and Candy Foggo. Really enjoyed them. If you enjoyed today's conversation, please give us a like, thumbs up, even love us if you don't mind. Make sure you smash a like and make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel. Some of you like and don't like and follow us, but you watch every day. So make sure you like and follow. Make sure you're smashing those grabs. The more support you give, the more we're able to give you. So look, it's daily playtime. You ready, Carla? You stretched?
I just did a big stretch while
right.
the commercials on.
Oh, okay. No one was there to witness it, so no one knows. All right, here we go, folks. Help her out, help her out, help her out. Quote. She's naming a place.
Okay.
This is the oldest cast iron house in the world. Built in 1820 in Georgian architecture. The ground and two upper floors house numerous precious collections and exhibits. You will come to know about Bermuda's slavery period, get to see many rare coins and notes, understand the island's economic links and cultural exchanges with Portuguese and West Indies, see collections from Royal Navy, U.S. Air Force, and a lot more. End quote.
So that could either be Carter House. Is it Carter House? Or it's the commissioner's house up in Dockyard? Yeah.
I mean, if you were given a test, are you literally going to type, well, it could be A or C, like, or it's none of the above? Like, come on, you got to give one
So
answer.
it's Carter House. I'm saying Carter House. But you said not St. George's, but that's in St. David's. Okay. So commissioner's house in Dockyard.
The crowd's going crazy for you. They're happy for you. They're going crazy, Carla. It is Commissioner's House. Commissioner's House is the oldest cast iron house in the world, built in 1820. So, Carla, it's even older than you.
I'm going to slap him. You know what? No, I'm not going to slap him. I'm going to sink him. We are sinking him, guys. Remember, bermudasloop.org. Sink him. Thank you.
Oh, that's your way of getting me back.
Uh-huh.
So, Carla, honestly, we have a lot to do when we get back to Bermuda, because we're gonna drive the well, I'm gonna drive. I don't trust you driving the
Rugged vehicles.
Yep, we're gonna drive rugged vehicles, and we have to do the tour of Commissioner's House with Rashida and Titan Express, and then we have to go down St. George's, and we have to well, we can do lunch at 3 different restaurants on one day, right?
We sure can.
Okay, so we'll start at Whitehorse, then we'll go to we'll work all the way around.
Tell
And
you,
then,
I didn't get just pot belly eating salad, you know. You just can't see it.
well, we have a lot of eating to do when we get back to Bermuda and enjoying. And what I want to do, I should have asked the mayor if they still do the there was a what's this thing trolley tour of the forts in St. George's. You got to do that too. That's pretty cool.
Okay.
Yeah, St. George's.
I'm looking forward to it. Like, I really can't wait to come home because I realize how many things I underappreciated. And St. George's is, and I'm not even saying it because they just came on today. St. George's is one of them. I really want to get in deeper with my island.
There you go. Shigarena says, "What about your tug of war?" Oh, I'm
It's coming, Shika. I didn't forget. Shika, I didn't forget.
She's trying to forget, but no, there's something. Dawn Simmons says St. David's is part of St. George. Stop. See, Dawn, you must be
It is.
No, hold on. Technically, it's in the parish, but you don't tell St. David's people that they're part of St. George. You know the rules. Come on.
I know it's offensive, but it is a part of it. Yes, Dawn.
You know
And Dawn's from Somerset. Red and blue.
What's a Somerset person gonna say that? Don't mess. Stay up that end of the island, folks. Stay up that end. I have to say this before we move on. Somerset folks should never enter a conversation when we're discussing St. George's because they literally stole our cup last year by canceling cup match. That's what they should have had to give it up. But I'll leave that for another day.
And you know I'm not into cup match like that, right? That's the thing. I'm not into cup match.
No. As long as you say, yeah, as a Somerset fan, you're into the cup match. You should have stayed out of it, Carla. You should have stayed out of it. Despite our current situations, there's so much to be grateful for. St. George is definitely one of those. Honestly, it's a great place, man. It really is. It's a great place. Of course, Jamal's at 82.4% for sinking. So, folks, listen, let me say this before Carla gives you some inspiration. Let me say this. I don't ask you
David's
for much.
original.
I don't ask you for much. I'm just asking you to show some love. Like, I try to show you love daily. Show some love and save a brother. That's it.
I just want to see you jump in the water. Whatever water. I'm here for it. I am here for it. That's all I'm gonna say.
Charles asks, will we be doing a live show with a live audience when we're both in Bermuda? Charles, you're on. I accept. I don't know if Carla accepts because I'll leave it at that. But I accept. We will do a live
anything for you.
No, y'all got to promise you not to cuss and stuff. Dawn Simmons says, I love visiting St. George's. Notice, I think she wanted to put visiting in capital letters. Like she'll visit, but she ain't staying for long. Is it more than 2 days of the year, Dawn? Carla, we need some inspiration. Give it to us, please.
The starting point of all achievement is desire. Weak desire brings weak results. Napoleon Hill.
I like that one. Jan Powell says, smart people live on St. George's but root for Somerset. Well, that's a confused individual.
She cries if a cup match, okay? She's just a fanatic.
Oh my, we'll have to get her on the show, have a fight. Nicole Walker, I haven't seen the trolley tour in a while. Yeah, that was cool. So we'll have to ask about that if they can bring it back. Yes, we will do a live show in Bermuda. Hold us to it. That's if Carla's not running from me because she runs from competition like tug of war and basketball, like I'm about to be there. Any final words for the day, Carla?
Go to St. George's, guys. Enjoy it. I can't wait. I cannot wait. But I also wanted to say really quickly, happy birthday to one of our loyal followers, listeners, Miss Bonnie Smith. It's her birthday today. Happy birthday, Miss Smith. Have a great day.
Happy birthday to Bonnie Smith. It's April 8th. On April 8th, 1974, Hank Aaron, black baseball player, hit his 715th home run. Hank Aaron broke the record that stood by Babe Ruth. We just recently lost Hank Aaron. Called him the home run king. He was an Atlanta Braves baseball player at the end of his career. So big props to Hank Aaron. Held that record until Bobby Bonds, his father, Barry Bonds, broke it. On that note, though, Carla, I guess we have to go. Tomorrow, you're probably going to see a different Jamal, a more hyper Jamal, because we're talking about diversity and inclusion. And you know how I feel about that. Thanks again to our partners, Medical House, One Communications, and Linda's for ensuring that we're able to do this with you on a daily basis. As always, we appreciate you. Love you, and we thank you for making us part of your daily routine. If all goes well, we'll be back to do this again with you tomorrow. She's Carla Zool. I'm Jamal Hartman. Diversity and inclusion. It's about to get ugly. See you tomorrow.